It's new bike day. So in this week's video, I'm going to be taking my new bike out for a ride and giving you my first impressions. So my new bike is a 2022 Marin Bobcat Trail 4, which was actually in last year's budget mountain bike buyer's guide. But for 2022, it's got a really big upgrade courtesy of the Microshift Advent 9 speed, so it's a 1x9 now, which makes it an even better budget option for those getting into mountain biking or just looking for a great entry-level bike. And I know a lot of you wanted me to test out a budget hardtail, so here you go. And the main reason I went for the Bobcat Trail 4 was because it's pretty available, it's pretty easy to find, and I actually paid full price for this one. But the main standout for me really is the geometry of the bike. It's perfect for that kind of XC to trail hardtail. And it strikes a great balance of stability with that 67-degree head angle with that 465mm reach on the size large, while not being too long that it detracts from the fun factor of the bike, because again, that's where a lot of people are going to be getting a hardtail. And for beginners as well, you do want a bike that's pretty easy to maneuver on that slow speed stuff. Another standout as well is that seat angle is pretty steep as well, so 74.5 degrees, and on a hardtail that will steepen up a little bit when the fork compresses. So I'd probably say when you're riding it's probably around about 75 to 75.5, which for a hardtail is great. But another thing I did screw up with last year's buyer's guide, even though the bike does have a straight steerer, it is actually oversized. So if you do use an external cup for the bottom part of the headset, you can actually fit a tapered fork, which is great for the future upgradability of the bike. But enough about all the boring facts, let's go out and take it for a ride. Okay, so we're out here at Daisy Hill again. I know you guys want to see some different trails, but for this bike, I really think it is the perfect place. So we're going to hit Chipline, which is kind of more of a smooth flow trail, which this thing will be really great for. There's a little bit of a tech section, so we'll see how it goes over the rocks, and there's some jumps as well, which I know you guys are going to love to see, how the bike jumps as well. So let's get into it. Okay, so dropping into Chipline, see how she goes. On the climb up, it's actually really nice climbing. It's refreshing to be in a nice fast hardtail, and the pedaling position's really good with that 74.5 degree seat angle, which does get steeper when the fork sags a little. Got a little bit of tech up here. See how she goes. A bit rough, but the frame is a bit more supple, yeah, on the supple side for a hardtail. But still did it. But yeah, you can notice that fork holding it back a little. But the reach feels actually pretty similar to my T8. It's 465 on paper, but again, when that fork sags, it'll be a little bit longer on a hardtail. All right, we'll see how she jumps. Whew. Need to brace yourself for the landing a bit more, but big jump here. To hit that exactly the same as my T8, go up on this line. So it's still doing the exact same lines on my T8, so load of confidence. You will notice I have 2-finger braking on because didn't necessarily trust the brakes, but they're doing all right, so we'll move those in. But yeah, really good. First impressions. Riding the trail exactly how I'll try manual. Easy, super fun. I'm enjoying this. So dropping back into Koala now. And the other thing that I've kind of said in the past, I've criticized quick release rear axles a fair bit, but on these kind of trails, I don't think you notice it too much. On the rougher stuff, I did notice it was a little bit more flexy, not as controlled, but on this stuff, I wouldn't be too concerned. I'm actually surprised I've got decent grip with the tires as well. But I really expect I was going to wash out more often. See how we go here. Oh, that was a bit janky, but it handled it. That fork, I'm going to change that pretty quickly because I can feel it just holding back the bike. And I've got the seat post down, so I'm not really noticing the lack of dropper at the moment, but it's definitely a functionality thing that you really want to have, especially when a bike like this that really can be actually quite capable. So do a quick little bit of climbing back up, just so you guys can actually see that I've climbed the bike. So yeah, as I said, decently efficient climber. See, and the gear range is decent as well. So it's that 9-speed, 11 to 46, so decent enough range. Only on the steeper stuff that you'll probably notice not having the extra range compared to like an Eagle, but on this kind of bike, especially how efficient hardtails are, you're not really going to notice it. But yeah, really good climbing position. So I think the main word I can take away from that ride is perspective. After you've ridden mountain bikes for a while, you often can forget how it was like when you first started riding. Honestly, all I remember was how twitchy my first bike felt, how sketchy it was at speed. Going down a rock roll was the worst thing in the world. And to be honest, this has led to a lot of resentment of wanting to go back to an entry-level hardtail because I really didn't like that experience as I kind of progressed. I enjoyed my dual suspension way too much, so I wasn't too keen going back to that sketchiness again. And because of that, I really thought my first ride in the Bobcat Trail was going to be a similar experience, but I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't. And you can probably tell how surprised I was in the ride footage. And it really made me think, if I was getting into mountain biking today, this is exactly the bike that I'd want to have. It's relatively affordable for a proper trail-ready bike. There's also the Marin Bobcat Trail 3, which uses the same great frame, which is the part I'm most stoked about on this bike. It does come with a 2x drivetrain granted, but the frame is the most important part, and you can really progress on that. But the geometry really is dialed for XC to trail riding. I was really surprised at how capable it was on the trails. But yeah, the sizing was super roomy. I'm 185 centimeters, so 6'1", and the size large, that 465 millimeter reach on that felt perfect. It pretty much felt identical to the 480 millimeter reach on my Sentier UT, and I think that kind of comes down to the reach does slightly grow a bit when the fork does sag on a hardtail. But yeah, it was super stable at speed. I was really surprised there. And it still cornered really quickly as well. You notice darting in and out of the trees, it was super quick, and going around corners as well, the bike felt nice and direct. And in combination with that short stem and wide bars, I pretty much felt like I was in the same riding position as on my Sentier UT, and that probably led to me feeling as comfortable as I did on the bike. And as you can see, I was pretty much hitting the same lines I did on my Sentier UT on this bike as well. So it really speaks for itself there. But the main problem I found, because I felt so comfortable at riding position, the geometry was dialed on the bike. The bike wanted me to push faster and faster, and some of the components at that point just couldn't keep up, mainly the fork. And this is mainly a price point thing. I probably feel the same way on a budget air fork on this bike. Those more budget oriented air forks aren't that good either. But I think for many people, they will gain confidence on this bike pretty quickly, and they'll catch the bug, and at that point, they'll want to start upgrading the bike. So the fork would probably be the first place that I would start. And that's exactly what I'm going to do to the bike. I'm going to upgrade it over the next few months and see how capable I can make the bike. But before I change any parts, I have a good idea for a project for the next episode. I do have someone that's keen to get into mountain biking, so I might lend them this bike and see how they go. So stay tuned for that, and then also my long-term review in the future. But if you are keen on this bike, I do have an affiliate link for Bicycles Online who sells Marin, and Bikes Online in the US now sells Marin as well. So if you do want to get a Marin in the US, there's another way that you can purchase through my affiliate link as well there. So don't have to use it, but it's greatly appreciated and it supports the channel. So I hope you guys enjoyed my first look at the Marin Bobcat Trail 4. And as always guys, thanks for watching.